We're live. Hello and welcome. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. This is the Face of Entrepreneurs. My name is Stuart Harris. I'm hosting the show tonight, and we've got a very exciting event for you this evening because we have with us two of the founding members of the Face of Entrepreneurs, and I'll be introducing both these gentlemen to you shortly. And we also have the founding member of entrepreneurcard.com, and what's really interesting about both of these groups of people, both of these individuals, shall we say, is that they are bringing to the world, bringing to Australia right now some really novel ways of networking. And to demonstrate what they're actually doing, we've got a little video to show you, so we'll play that just now, so just hang in there and we'll have that running.
Idea that we didn't know where we were going.
It's probably the coolest networking event marketing I've ever seen. Like, you had no idea what we were going to do.
An event like we had tonight, which is a little bit dangerous. I think that's a really good way of getting people to know each other, because all of a sudden you have to trust someone, not necessarily with your life, but it is sort of a little bit dangerous, and that means you get close to people in a different way.
Yeah, so there's a lot of events out there. I position this one as far more, I don't know, a bit more fun and engaging, and quite a few well-experienced people that you can learn from and share ideas with.
So, and we all know that if we connect with someone, then highly likely we'll remember them when the opportunity comes to refer to each other.
So everybody brings something special and unique, and I think the more we can all learn, no matter how old we are and how much experience we have.
I just loved it. It was really cool people, lots of fun, nice and casual.
And so that epitomises exactly what the Face of Entrepreneurs is all about, and what we're going to be talking about tonight, because there's networking events that are changing the scene, not only locally but across the nation. And what I'd like to do now is introduce the founding members for the Face of Entrepreneurs. First up is Federico Ray. Good evening, Federico. Good to see you again.
A big hello, Stuart. Thank you. Nice to be here again.
And also Ranil Rajapaksha. Ranil, good to see you too tonight.
Marty, Stuart, always good to see you, and thanks again for your time and organizing this, so thank you.
You're very welcome, and a special welcome tonight to Martinez from entrepreneurcard.com. Good to have you along tonight, Martin, as well.
Hi, Stuart. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. So I'd like to kick off with just talking about the Face of Entrepreneurs. We've seen the movie there, which really shows something quite special. And Federico, perhaps if I can come to you and ask you to just talk a little bit about what you perceive as the Face of Entrepreneurs for you.
The Face of Entrepreneurs is an opportunity to bring people together in the entrepreneurial business space, and essentially to experience some fun in a different way as compared to, say, just getting together and networking and having a drink, which is commonly what you find out there in the marketplace. So for me personally, after spending many attempts networking, I just got bored of that. Where the whole idea came from, especially with the escape pillar, and the Face of Entrepreneurs is about three core pillars. It's about connecting and inspiring and escaping. Late last year I had an amazing opportunity in South Africa where I experienced a boot camp ultimate growth adventure with a serial entrepreneur in Australia, and just experiencing the outdoors in a safari boot camp style environment in Africa, as well as learning entrepreneurship with other people, was for me a very strong bonding experience which I will never forget. And just coming back to Australia, I just wanted to do the same, of essentially getting people together, have some fun, and talk about our experiences in business, because we've all got our story to tell. You know, we've got our journey, and we can certainly learn from each other. And I guess so far, that's what we've been doing since we founded the Face of Entrepreneurs only this May. So it's quite new, Stuart. We're on to event 3, which is next week.
And I'd like to talk about that later on if we can. But one of the things that you mentioned there, Federico, is experiences. And I think you know, as much as we're all on our own journey and our own path and putting things together and making things work, it's exposing those experiences to others so that they can see the opportunities and pathways that are available to them. And Ranil, perhaps you might like to comment about that and just tell us about how the TFE is providing those sorts of pathways for other entities like yourselves.
Absolutely. Yeah, look, again, like Federico said, it's we're only in early days, but it's quite exciting. Quite exciting where the journey is actually leading us. We're getting people who are finding jobs within the networking groups, investment, a whole bunch of stuff. It's awesome. And it's kind of gone way past what we expected. And this is we've only done event 2. So event 3 is next week. So it's definitely gaining ground. We found the secret sauce, whatever that is. So we're just going to keep rolling with it. And thankfully, we're also, I guess, attracting great talent out there and great people, great entrepreneurs, great stories that would like to also be involved. And yeah, we're very, very grateful to have people like Martin actually be part of TFE.
Absolutely, and one of the things I like about the movie too is everyone's smiling. You know, it's really hard to get to an event these days, and people are wandering around with a face like this, and you know, I just love the fact that everyone's got a grin on their face. Federico, tell us about how. Sorry, I was going to ask Federico how he feels that the Face of Entrepreneurs is different from other events.
I guess it's about pushing those boundaries that little bit further, and one of the unique elements of the Face of Entrepreneurs is that we don't tell people what exactly the activity is all about. So we give people little clues. And for instance, last event we called the event No Wall Too Tall. So I guess yes, you can probably guess that it's rock climbing, but some people didn't really know what it was going to be about. And the idea of pushing those boundaries is no different to business and entrepreneurship. And as an entrepreneur, personally, I never know what's around the corner, and it's only when you go outside of that comfort zone that you learn, and also where those bonding experiences take place, and much the same as what I felt when I was in South Africa. So going forward, we will always have some kind of mystery to our activities, and the activities themselves, you know, whilst they'll be challenging, they're also adaptable to the everyday person. But I guess it's the secret component that makes it particularly appealing.
Yeah, and Ranil, you talked about the secret sauce. Can you tell us what sort of sauce was flowing in the Chapter 2 event?
Look, it's a secret, so I can't tell you. No, not really. So basically, look, I think at the end of the day, it's breaking the ice. Really, at the end of the day, we're all human beings, and you know, startups. If you're in a small business, if you're in a medium-sized business, we all tend to go through the same thing. The same downs, the same ups, the same stresses, the same challenges, sleepless nights, and there's this thread, I guess, that we all, possess. And I think by having this escape component, it does break down the walls somewhat. So, we're almost bare enough to actually just, break the ice and just get on with it, and speak. We don't need time to actually network and warm up. I find that's I think part of the secret as well, the whole escape component, which is different. So we're going to keep that up. We're also, the surprise component of where we meet, so people just know where we're going to meet, the meeting point. they have no idea where we're going to go after that. And I think that's also the curious element's awesome. What we do is we also provide Jesse from Becking Photography, which who takes photos, portrait photos of everybody that comes, and they can use it for their LinkedIn profile or website or anything like that. That's just an added value to coming along. So also on top of that, which I'm sure we're going to get into, we're going to have great talent just like Martin coming down for the day from Sydney as well.
Yeah, and I think you've hit it on the head with how it pulls people together who've never met before. And of course, we've got Martin along tonight, but Martin came along to the Face of Entrepreneurs, and Federico, perhaps you could tell us a little bit about why you decided to involve Martin in the Face of Entrepreneurs.
I think he's a good-looking guy. I'm only kidding. I think it's just the connection that I share with Martin, given that he's been in business perhaps longer than I have, and the stories that he's told me I can completely relate to. So we share a bond on that front, and I was very intrigued by the fundamentals and the whole concept and branding of the entrepreneur card. And whenever there's the word entrepreneur connected to any brand or business model, I tend to get drawn to it, but particularly because of Martin's friendly, open personality that I was able to explore it further with Martin. And between us, we thought, well, there's a synergy. Why don't we help each other out? Given that Martin's also in the early stages of the entrepreneur card. So the next event for me personally is very exciting to have someone special and as important as Martin, and certainly that will give us an edge on other events. So I'm very grateful to have Martin equally. So thanks, Martin.
Oh, thank you for having me. It will be a pleasure.
And it is good to have you here, Martin, because it's really complementing what's going on in terms of the Face of Entrepreneurs. But you've also got the Entrepreneur Card, which is also a very distinctive networking approach in itself. Can you tell us a little bit about the card and what inspired you to create this really inspiring event?
Sure. Well, look, just before we get started, I just want to correct you on something. It's the website is entrepreneurcard.com.au. We are an Australian service, and unlike the Face of Entrepreneurs, our main goal is to provide benefits to business owners, whether it's a startup or an established business owner. It doesn't matter where you range. What we've done is we've created not a loyalty program or a credit card. We created a benefits program where all of our members instantly get access to the best corporate pricing that any service provider for things that they would use on a normal basis. They can get access to it without having to spend millions of dollars like the large corporates do. So what I've done is I've reached out to hundreds of different brands in different categories and say, hey, what do you normally give your top clients, your corporate clients? And it ranges from anywhere between 15 and 60% off whatever price they have to retail customers. And then I said, can you provide us access to that pricing? And as a collective, we're going to build Australia's largest community of business owners and entrepreneurs, who as a collective will have bigger buying power than just one single corporate. And they've gravitated to that, and it's an amazing relationships that we've forged. We've got all the major airlines, car rental companies like Hertz and Uber. We've got 11,000 luxury hotels around the world. We've got over 600 restaurants and cafes around Australia. We've got leading brands such as Optus, David Jones, QBE, you name it. We've got all the leading brands, and all we did was say, we're going to build a community, we're going to build a strong community, and their buying power is going to be much greater than a corporate. If you provide us your best pricing, we'll do the marketing for you, and it's worked amazingly. And we also offer, as an extension, a lot of a way to connect people together. We host our own networking events and activities, whether we host it ourselves or we do it with our partners. And that's a way that we bring people together, because tools like LinkedIn can only take you so far. People do business with people, and connecting them in the right environment, in a social environment, it just breaks the barriers. And as Rene was saying, it's about breaking the ice and getting people to talk to one another and do business, hopefully.
And look, that sounds like a really amazing setup right now. In terms of somebody listening in today, they might feel that maybe this is only for entrepreneurs. Perhaps you could describe the sort of people that would be interested in picking up the entrepreneur card. Is it only for entrepreneurs? Who else is it for?
Look, maybe we've narrowed our our brand is Entrepreneur Card. That's the name of our company. But to me, an entrepreneur is anybody that's self-employed and that's risked their livelihood in order to do better for themselves and their families. So for me, a plumber is an entrepreneur. Will they see themselves as one? No, normally not, because the word entrepreneur is normally looked at as tech or startup scene or whatever, and to me it's actually a very small portion of entrepreneurship. To me, somebody that's a plumber or a carpenter or a gardener, anybody like that, to me they're entrepreneurs because they're self-employed. So although the brand is Entrepreneur Card, it's designed specifically for small to medium-sized business owners who can now get the upper hand by saving lots and lots of money in their business with access to corporate pricing, which they would never be able to do because they just don't have the buying power individually. But as a collective, we've been able to secure that for them. So as soon as they join the program, they have instant access to hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of savings, depending on the benefits that they select to use.
I'm here with Martin Martinez from entrepreneurcard.com.au. Got that right this time. And we're going across the globe. I've also got Federico Ray and Ranil Rajapaksa from the Face of Entrepreneurs in the Hangout tonight. And Federico and Ranil, do you want to pop in and ask something of Martin as we are ongoing here? Do you have any questions at the moment?
If I can get it. You want to go first, Fed?
You go first, Ranil.
All right. Look, I guess as a prelude for our event next week, which Martin will probably expand on a little bit more. But Martin's bio is very, very impressive. Very impressive. It's something where books are written from stories like this. So both Fed and I are really inspired by his story. So perhaps if you could just give us a condensed version, I guess, Martin, on your journey from coming here, a few years ago, and how you've moved everywhere, and the whole Australian Poker League, story. If you could share that with us, that would be that would be great.
Sure. Well, look, it's a long story if you start adding all of the things together, but. The thing that I want to kind of share, and it's the first thing that I share with people, is that my formula for success is very, very simple. I remember a day, and I think may have been 9 years old or something like that, and I was in Spain, in Barcelona, or just out of Barcelona, in a small town, and I remember the day that my family and I shared an egg for lunch. Or was dinner, I can't remember exactly, but I do remember it was an egg. And that is an experience that a lot of migrants have, is that, that level of poverty, I should say, because, to be able to share an egg and not have anything else to eat is very, very scarring, if you know what I mean. So from that day forward, I've had literally a hunger for success. I know what it feels to be absolutely poor. And when I came to Australia, I came with my parents. They migrated. I was 14 years old. I didn't speak a word of English, neither did my parents. And this was after my parents had traveled from South America to Spain. We've moved, I don't know how, countless times. I went to 7 different schools by the time I was 14. And this ongoing movement that my parents were on, that was only to better themselves. So that was kind of my upbringing, and tie that together with that hunger moment kind of set the tone for me for the future, is that I know what that feels and I never want to feel it again. So for me, I am just hungry for success, and literally I was hungry. So when I talk to people, I say that the only difference between success and failures is how hungry you are. Because if you look at sports, for example, there's some guys or girls who are shorter or less strong, or they're not as athletic or whatever, but there's something in them that makes them want to win more, and that gets them to do extraordinary things even with the limitations of their physical capabilities. That can be translated into business, because a lot of people just feel like they have things handed to them. It's easy. They just they take it for granted. I will never ever take anything for granted. So that's kind of my key to success. But to kind of share a little bit of the journey, when I came to Australia, my parents had were able to put together a French patisserie, which my dad was a baker, and that's what he did in Bondi Beach. They held it for about 7 years, and towards the end of that time, the business was failing. I came in after having a very short stint in banking and helped them out trying to get out of that business, and that gave me my first taste of entrepreneurship. From there, I moved into gaming. I worked in the Star City Casino in Sydney for 8 years, and that gave me an enormous experience of the good and the bad of what money can do. I've seen people lose millions and say, that was fun, I'll see you tomorrow. And I've seen people lose their entire homes and all their assets, and literally see them physically lose themselves, and that's a pretty ugly place. But I've seen everything that what money can do, and that led me, the experiences there led me to launch the Australian Poker League, which is the company that hosts all of the poker tournaments in the pubs and clubs. And to be honest, that's obviously my biggest claim to fame. I was extremely successful with that. I launched it, and it took off. We went from 0 to 122 franchises in 2 countries within 3 years, turning over $50 million a year. And to be able to do that, I have to say that you need an enormous amount of luck. Yes, I was very good at what I did, but that type of success is not something that can be replicated unless the stars align and things happen beyond your control that make it work. So I don't take, although it was a great success, I don't like taking full credit for that, because I believe that there were some things and some maybe angels that were looking over me that gave me that boost that in order to get that amazing success. I mean, this was incredible. To turn over $50 million a year within 3 years is nuts. So from them, I was fortunate enough to sell a company and do very well out of that. And I've started a number of different businesses, many of which have failed. I had my shit doesn't stink syndrome after the big exit. Thought that my hand was gold and I could do anything, and that couldn't be further from the truth. That was a very humbling period of about 3.5 years since I sold the Australian Poker League. And it was partly because, as I said, I didn't think that I could do anything wrong. I wasn't authentic with the fact that I had some luck go my way, as well as executing very well in the business. So I didn't acknowledge that, and I think the universe gives you a slap in the face every now and then. And that's what happened to me prior to launching Entrepreneur Card, which has been, touch wood, another good success for me.
Good response, Martin. And perhaps I can ask a few questions or elaborate on what you've said. I completely understand and relate to everything that you've said. And for me as an entrepreneur, I have my own set of principles, just like you have. And I noticed that you said certain things like failure and humble beginnings and passion and vision and humility and so forth. What would you say is the thing that people out there don't understand of entrepreneurs? And I'm asking that to you because often I get people who are not entrepreneurial ask me, how do I do it? What is your secret to success? What would you say is the one thing you'd say to them?
My answer to that question is that I hate the alternative. I cannot work for somebody else. I'm completely unemployable, and that is because I'm a person that believes in fairness, and I believe in people, and the fact that in the corporate world you got a lot of people that have gained the position of management or whatever through tenure, most likely, and not necessarily education or smarts. So I cannot I need to work with equals. I can't be held by somebody that really doesn't know what they're talking about. So that's a common trait with a lot of entrepreneurs, that we make our own rules. We are fair people. We always want to make a dollar. Don't get me wrong. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But it's about, respect and self-respect. And I remember in the casino industry, it was very hierarchical. It was very male-dominated, which obviously didn't matter to me. But it had a lot of old-school mentality of running business, and I just couldn't stand it. And I couldn't believe that I lasted 8 years there. But to be honest, the other part of why I'm like this is because of my parents. They're migrants. You will see that in a lot of migrants, they have this hunger for improvement. They don't just come here from a country that were doing well. They come here because they weren't doing so well in their country, and they come to this country that offers amazing opportunities to people, and they are just hungry, and they go and fight, and they don't take anything for granted because they remember where they come from. So those are the things that make me who I am. But to answer kind of your question, what does it take to be an entrepreneur? It's just that tenacity to succeed and just wanting to do so. It's not about finding your passion and all that. It's just wanting to work hard and deliver for your family, and that's kind of something that I think all of us have in common. We have families we want to provide to and for, and we just put everything at risk in order to make their lives better.
And what's interesting, what you said is, people talk about success, but very few people talk about failure or admit to failure. And what I heard you say is that really to be successful, you've got to fail, and that's very much my philosophy of failure. But it's really a dirty word that people out there don't like to hear about. So in a nutshell, how do you deal with the skeptic who says, "Oh, you failed"? How do you deal with that emotion and that mindset?
Well, I have a saying, and it goes like this: sometimes you win, and sometimes you learn. To me, I don't accept failure as failure. I accept it as a learning experience. So you have to be comfortable with yourself in order to accept failure. You know what I mean? As I said, I've had a significant amount of failure in the last, 3.5 years since I exited the Australian Poker League. Now, nothing major, but significant enough to get my ego bruised, and that lowers you down. It puts you in your spot, and then you realize. Then you go through a self-assessment process. You got to understand what you're good at, what you're not good at, and so on. So, to be honest, my actual biggest success which was the Australian Poker League, was my biggest failure. And the reason why I say that, and people are shocked, is not because of the financial results. It's more about the fact that I could have done more if I knew better, if I had better mentors or better people around me, or I knew better. I came from being a gaming manager in a casino to running a $50 million company in 3 years. There is no school for that. There is absolutely no school for that. So you want to screw up over and over and again. My only policy was don't screw up over again on the same thing. Just make one screw up and never do that again. So, people that succeed fail more often than not. But that's because they're willing. The willingness to win is what gets them through. I was talking to my wife actually today, and it's just, I cannot stand losing. And people say, that's a bit egotistical or whatever. It says, I'm just a competitive person, and I just cannot stand losing. So, for me, coming second is you're the biggest loser. Not out of all, nobody remembers second. Right, and it's not about a ladder or anything like that. It's about having that tenacity to win. Seeing those little guys in, playing AFL who are just killing it, and and they are just so hungry for that ball, and they're putting their bodies on the line. They just want it more. So to me, that's how I measure success, and failure is getting knocked down and not accepting it as a failure. It's a learning experience. And personally, I never went to university, so my school has been the school of hard knocks. If you go to university, you spend a lot of money. If you do it through entrepreneurship, you spend a lot of money in failures too. It's a learning experience. That's how I take it.
Absolutely. I think they should introduce entrepreneurship in the Olympic Games as a new athletic sport.
Well, there's going to be a lot of seconds there.
That's right. Well, thanks, Martin, for sharing that very inspirational story. I've got one last question for you, Martin. Who's one entrepreneur out there in the world that you completely aspire towards?
I to be honest, I don't have anybody that I aspire, because to me it's again the people that I look up to is my parents, and the sacrifices that they made. I'm bringing back that story of the one egg. There's nothing more powerful than that for me, and I take success for granted. I know I'm successful, and it's my mindset. I do not. As I said, I failed plenty. I screw up plenty, don't get me wrong, but it's my mindset that I will not accept that as my destiny or my end all. So for me, when I look back at my parents and what they did and what they were providing me for my future, I have to thank them immensely. And for me, that's how I measure everything. So if I look up at anybody, it's my parents, but not some Richard Branson or anybody like that, because they've got their own journeys and they've got their own stories, and that's what's gotten them there. Now I appreciate a lot of the people, such as Richard Branson and Mark Cuban. I think he's a smart guy. I like there's plenty of people, but I don't aspire to be them. They're just in a. My parents is all I go back to. It's my beginnings, and again being humble and understanding that not. It's tough out there. And when I travel overseas, every time I come to Australia, I kiss the floor like I'm the Pope, because this country is amazing, and it gives a lot of opportunity to people. And Australians, unfortunately, in the majority, they're just not getting it. And I think something might happen in the future that they're going to regret that they didn't take the opportunities available here. We do live in the lucky country by far, and I think a lot of migrants will tell you that.
Yeah, I echo that, Martin. Definitely. I think you hit a lot of things on the head there. Thank you for being so humble. Sorry, Stuart. If I don't mind, if I can just ask one question. Oh, well, ask Martin to basically, I guess, share with us, what's going to happen at the event. I guess, in terms of what he's looking to give away to people who are coming. So. This video will be watched by a lot of people who might be umming and ahhing about coming to our third event next week, next Thursday. So just to share with everybody, basically Martin's coming down from Sydney just for the day, just to have basically a closed session with TFE members. So on top of that, Martin, I'll leave it to you to I guess let everybody know what else they'll be receiving.
Sure. So look, before I kind of explain, I think that anybody that's been ahhing and thinking about it should really think what they really want in life. The type of events you guys host and the types of events we host, they're specifically designed to connect people. And you do business with people, your customers are people, so what better place than to connect with these types of events? And I encourage anybody, forget whether I'm coming or not, you should attend these types of events, because you can't live in a bubble. You have to be connected with the world, and entrepreneurship is growing, and you just need to be connected to other people you could do business with. So put that aside. Anybody attending the event is going to we're going to provide, thanks to you guys, a complimentary membership to Entrepreneur Card Classic, which is a $247 product. It's our main product, where you get pretty much the majority of the benefits that we have, probably 80% plus of the benefits that we provide in the program. You have 100% access to the benefits themselves, but some of the things that we provide, such as events, we're not hosting events in Melbourne yet, and so on. So that wouldn't be available in the program. But it's designed for business owners. Every single one of the attendees will get a free membership, and the more the merrier. I'm happy to have as many people there attending as possible, and it will be great to connect with you all and have share my story a little deeper and hear your stories as well.
Look forward to having you, Martin.
Look forward to it.
So, Federica, do you want to add a few words there about the event coming up? because it looks like it's going to be a real humdinger.
Absolutely. Next event will be Chapter 3. We called it Balance, Speed and Flow Without Wheels. That was a title that Clever Renewal came up with. We can't tell you exactly what the event is, as it's part of our secret formula, but you can probably guess what it may be involving. So we're getting together a bunch of about 20 to 25 people for the event somewhere in town. And it'll be made up of an activity for about an hour and a half with Martin's inspirational story and a few other games that we will play, and obviously an opportunity to network and maybe have a drink later on after the session's over. So come along. If you haven't registered or you're thinking about it, just come and give it a shot is what I can say.
Awesome, thanks Federico. And look, I just want to give everyone a final word before we round out. But before I do, I just want to highlight something that Martin has quoted, and that is never take anything for granted. And I think that's something that too many people do too often. Is, you know, they sit back. They let what they've got be their be-all, end-all, and they forget to keep going for the goals that they had, the dreams that they had. And it's vital that you don't take anything for granted. You've got to go and get it now. And if anything epitomises that is the three gentlemen that have just been sharing this hangout with me. They're all on a road where they're going for everything that they're going for. They're not taking it for granted. And the other key aspect that I think Martin has highlighted, and Federico, is the fact that you know, you got to have failures. You got to get over this thing of not trying to get it wrong, because it's only through getting it wrong that you get it right. And if you go back to when we all started, when we were crawling around on the floor, we had the decision of whether we stayed crawling or we got up and walked. And to get up and walk meant we had to fail several times. So with that, perhaps Renil, if you could to give us one last word, please.
One last word, I guess, would be, look, I hope this demonstrates, I guess, where we're headed in terms of the face of entrepreneurs. And also, you know, we're also finding our feet, but we're having a hell of a lot of fun along the way, and would love to see as many of you as possible. If this resonates with you, if you do feel that, you know, you are also in need of inspiration, connecting, and also a little bit of escape, come on down. Look us up on meetup.com. So just look up the face of entrepreneurs. We're going to have a whole bunch of other touch points, including social media and also websites very soon. But in the meantime, look us up on meetup.com, the face of entrepreneurs.
Thanks very much. And Martin, you're the guest of honour, so if you'd like to give us the last few words, please.
I look forward to seeing you all on the September 4th, and make sure you come along. It should be a fun night.
Awesome.
It's
been great to have you along, Federico.
Is that a question, Stuart?
Yeah, sorry. Just inviting you to have your last word. Sorry, it was all rushed in together.
No problem, Stuart. Look, thanks again. Your help and your belief in what we do is highly appreciated. And if it wasn't for your amazing talent, we wouldn't have, managed to voice out the message so successfully on Google Hangouts. So thanks again.
No, I really appreciate it, and I enjoy being part of all of it, Federico. It's to me, I'm really inspired by what you guys are doing. I think this is fresh, it's exciting, and it's well worth participating in, as Martin has said. And I think both formats here tonight that are on display are something everybody should be taking a look at. With that, that's the Face of Entrepreneurs. My name is Stuart Harris, and we're rounding out now. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us tonight.